headphones?
I do in the kitchen. Grab 'em.
Yeah, yeah. Take your time, man. Yeah. Hey, thanks for that suggestion, Alex. Um, yeah, it's interesting because the audio, uh, like the video and everything's okay, so I don't think it's a connection issue. Um, and again, for those that just joined, I'm interviewing David. He's the owner of East Flow Productions. It's a media marketing company based out of Houston, East End, downtown. So if you have any kind of yeah, marketing needs, he can definitely help you as far as video production or photography. And he's also a licensed real estate agent. He works as a broker for Houston Realty Company. And he'll probably talk a lot more about that later. But for now, we're
All right.
okay. All right.
Okay. Does that work? Is that better?
I think so.
Maybe.
I think that was
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Okay. It was the
Okay.
audio then. It was just
Yes.
the audio. All right.
There you go.
Cool.
That's what it was. Yeah. I figured it wasn't
Cool.
the
That's good
connection
to
because
know.
your video was perfect. Yeah. So,
Okay.
all right. Yeah. So just quickly recap.
Yeah.
So quickly recapping, right? I've asked. I gave you. I gave a brief introduction, right? And I've asked, what was
Yeah.
relationship with money growing up, and if you want to do like a quick 1 minute summary, and then we can move on. Is
Yeah.
that okay with you?
Relationship with money growing up was pretty good. I remember getting like my tooth falling out when I was a kid. I put it under my pillow and I got $100.
Oh wow, wow, that's
So
really generous.
yeah, yeah. I mean that probably only happened one time, but I remember it. So I'm like my relationship with money. That's one of my first memories of money. So um, yeah, because I think you lose all your teeth before you're like 8 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, because my daughter's losing her teeth right now. She's
Oh,
she's about to turn 7.
is that age?
Uh, yeah, yeah. But yeah, relationship with money was pretty good up until I turned 18 and moved out and learned how to kind of survive on my own.
A, a bit of trial
Gather
by
those.
fire.
Yeah,
Huh? Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
gotcha. So,
Um,
in as far as like, how did you get into the media marketing or the real estate, whichever one you want to touch on first?
yeah. So I was previously in the event industry, and we ended up selling that business. And while trying to sell the business, we hired a couple of realtors. Uh, we hired 3 realtors that couldn't sell it, and I was determined to sell the business. One because like I was in that business for 19 years at that point.
Well,
Uh, I was 11 years old when we started that business, when my parents started that business, and I was there. So we owned an event hall, and we did weddings and quinceañeras, and I was there for um, pretty much every Saturday for the rest of my life for 19 years.
oh wow,
Yeah.
it's quite a bit.
Uh, yeah, so I missed out on a lot of like birthdays and like friends' birthday parties and stuff like that. And by that time, like I was realizing that it's like, damn, like all of those good weekends like were missed because I was here working. Uh, and I enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed it, all of it. But by that time, I was like, we gotta move on from this business. And it was perfect timing because shortly after we sold, COVID hit. It's like we sold and I got my license. Because I was trying to sell the business. We hired 3 realtors, right? They couldn't get the job done. So I took matters into my own hands and I called up every single um, event hall owner in Houston to see if they wanted to buy our place. And I was like, you know what? I could do this. I was calculating how much the realtor was going to make on the deal. Uh, and I was like, I could very well do this because I'm reaching out to these people anyway. Um, and I was already studying real estate because I was practicing. Well, I guess uh, I was investing or wanting to flip houses and stuff.
Gotcha.
I did two live-in flips. So I bought my first house, remodeled it, sold it, and then I bought my second house, remodeled it, and sold it. And I wanted to continue doing that every 4 years, So it's like how big of a or how far can I keep going with this? And I was digging into real estate and stuff, and um, I was like studying Bigger Pockets
Oh, yeah.
podcasts like crazy for that year before getting my license, selling the business, the event hall business, and um, and getting my license to do real estate. And so I started real estate, and I began making like marketing material for myself. And then the other people in the office were like, "Hey, can you do that for me?" And uh, I ended up working out a deal with a broker of Houston Center Real Estate, where I would cover the media and marketing material in exchange for ownership of the company. And so we did that kind of partnership, and that's how I became uh, an owner of Houston Center Real Estate, and creates and kind of transitioned my photography and videography business to media and marketing.
Gotcha.
Because yeah, and I was already familiar with marketing because I was running a business before, and I was doing everything myself, and I learned a lot in that business, a lot from my dad, because he ran it for so long, and I learned a lot of what to do and what not to do, and I kind of took all those things into these new ventures. And aside from that, I wanted to get out from my parents, because I had taken over the business since I was 22. From when I turned 22 to we sold 2 years ago. I was right before I was 30, I think. Yeah, when I was 29. From 22 to 29 for 7 years, my wife and I ran it, and my parents were like, they moved out of the city, and they were doing their own thing,
Dope.
and yeah. So by that time, I had already like I got married. I had two kids, and I was getting exhausted from the events and having to do that and have like every single weekend staying up to like 3 or 4 in the morning, and sometimes parties back to back and stuff. And it's not that I was used to it. It's just that I wanted to do something for myself. Like I wanted to create something on my own. That was my parents' dream, and I helped them with their dream. My dad, yeah, he wanted his $10,000 a month, which he got, and then he wanted his $1 million, which he got. Uh, and I helped them with that. I was, and I'm proud of that. And I was able to, um, yeah, just kind of like move on from that and help them with that. Help them with moving on from it because my dad was also very attached to the business, and
Business, yeah.
because we were there for 19 years, yeah, and so that was a process of moving on from that. Uh, but yeah. Anyway, I kind of got
No, no, thank you. And there's a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of questions that came up, such as, you
yeah,
buying
yeah,
your first multifamily units, the
yeah,
mentorship that you got from your parents, and then you taking it over, right? It's always nice to
yeah.
be able to help our parents out, right? And help them
Right,
with their
right.
dreams. But I
Yeah, and
think you
we're
touched,
still doing that. It's
yeah,
just at a whole
that's,
it's a whole different uh uh yeah, different business, but we're all still doing life together,
yeah. No,
Yeah.
no, I mean, yeah, that's very
Yeah.
admirable, man. So, like, much respect to you. Yeah. And I'm
Oh,
sure your
thanks, man.
parents appreciate that. So what's some of the challenges that you faced, not, well, when you finally decided to start your own business, right? In partnership
Mhm.
with Eastern Realty. What were some of the challenges that you faced there?
So very quickly it became too much work for myself. Um, because with trying to with juggling the creating a new business for myself, which I had no idea what being a real estate agent really was. Like I didn't re I knew what working for myself was, and going to get clients and stuff, but I was always like trying to get um, clients for weddings and quinceañeras. So then I was selling a different product now, so I had to target different people, and that was a bit challenging for me because I didn't understand it right away. I guess nobody tells you like when you get your license, nobody tells you what to do, you know? I mean, I was fortunate enough to kind of like I was in an office where that people had experience and I was just kind of, shadowing them and stuff and they would give me advice and tell me to do things, but I guess when we are so kind of focused on things, we ignore advice sometimes and
Exactly.
we think because we think that what we're doing is like so much better than the advice that they're giving us, Uh, but yeah, that was a bit challenging finding like the new finding new clients and stuff. Which well, there was that and yeah, being overloaded with work. I ended up like yeah having to hire somebody to help me out. Um, and it what I still kind of find challenging is like dedicating my time to the right things, you know. Um, I kind of get sidetracked in doing like busy work instead of like focusing on the things that are providing me the most leverage or the most value or the most return, you know. And that's just because I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's
It just
always
kind of
hard,
happens. Yeah.
especially, you touched on that earlier, right? Like part of it is your baby, so a lot of times you don't want to let go. And, I think, a lot of us have that problem of hey, we might think we know
Yeah.
how to do it better, right? But you kind of need,
Yeah.
as a business owner,
Yeah. To let
kind of
go.
that
Yeah.
vision to continue moving forward. But yeah, no, I understand. Well,
Yeah.
so I guess a question for you. It wasn't so much that you came from a say nine to five, but it was more so that you were working, with your parents, and at some point you decided to go on your own, right? So I guess for people
No,
that
no,
okay,
actually, so um, when I turned 18, I started working for Bank of America.
mm,
I was working as a part-time teller and going to school full time. I started at University of St. Thomas. I was studying
mhm,
psychology there full time and working part-time at Bank of America as a teller. And when I turned 19, I was like, I want to move out and I want to start working on my own. And because I couldn't go to school full time anymore because it was getting expensive, and that was like right after the recession. My dad, the business was like declining. People weren't doing as many parties
mhm.
in 2008, 2009, and it kind of like, and that's why I said my relationship with money was really good up until I turned 18
18.
because I would like business was slow for my dad and I was always just participating in the business. You know, my dad was running it and I was just doing things in the business to help out. You know, I was running concessions. I was a bartender at one point. I, was cooking for the catering. I was decorating. I was doing as much as I could to help out. And uh, yeah, and I was working part-time at Bank of America during the week, going to school full-time. But then I ended up working at Bank of America full-time, started doing school part-time. And I moved out of my parents and I was still helping them with the events, but only on the weekends. But it ended up being like not every single weekend because the parties were slowing down. It was like once a month or once every other month. And but before I even moved out, it was like that, which drove my dad. Like my dad went into this kind of like depression mode of like, I need money. We don't have any money. We got to pay, like our bills are over $10,000 a month. Like where am I gonna get this? Like it was like that every single day, and he'd come home like pissed off and angry,
Oh
and
wow.
I didn't know how to deal with it. I was like 18, 19, you know. Um, yeah, I didn't know how to deal with it, so I was like I left. Like I got my own apartment and stuff um and it was all, yeah, that part was a little, but yeah, that's when my relationship with money, it just changed at that point. It was like, okay, I started having bills now, and it's like I need money. So like the things that my dad was saying, I was saying to myself. But I still had a secure job. I knew how to deal with money. I knew how to deal with credit and stuff. I built my credit. I ended up buying my first house when I was 22,
Well,
21. I was 21 when I bought my first house. Yeah. So for 2 years, like I saved up my tax returns and shit, and the money that I was making on the side, I would save that. I started my first business, which was a like computer repair business.
nice. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, with a friend of mine who knew, like I didn't know. I mean, I was familiar with repairing computers, but I didn't like do that. But I knew someone who did, and I was like, hey, could we just start like charging people and to yeah. So I was doing that while I was always kind of doing something. But anyway, um, when yeah, I moved out, and yeah, that's when my relationship with money changed. But what were we talking about before that?
No, no, no. Thanks for
I kind
giving
of
this background
spaced.
because I'm thinking of people that are currently
Oh
that
yeah,
are
so
watching.
yeah, I wasn't just working in my
Yeah.
parents' business. I went out and like I started working for myself because I wanted to do my own thing, and I wanted to get away from my parents, like having that, um, yeah, that relationship with my parents just kind of, yeah, it was just time for me to move on,
Yeah.
move out
At what point did you
and do
decide?
that. Yeah. Oh yeah. So I'm working for yeah, that's where we're going. I'm working
Yeah.
for Bank of America. Um, I'm working for Bank of America, part-time teller, and I start moving up the ranks, and I switched my degree, my degree to business with a concentration in finance because Bank of America was going to comp it. Um, so yeah, I dropped the psychology stuff, switched over to business, and I'm working on finishing school, working full time at the bank, and they end up moving me to downtown. Um, I'm working in downtown, and the atmosphere is just different. So before that, I was working at Telephone in Belfort. So I was used
Gotcha.
to those kind of people that live on Telephone in Belfort. And it was always very entertaining. It
Yeah.
was, I had relationships with a lot of people. I was there for like 4 years or something, like 3 years or yeah, 3 or 4 years. And when I moved to downtown, everyone was very just like fucking tunnel vision and very dry and boring. And the same with my coworkers that were there. And I was like, uh, I was like, I don't think I want to continue doing this corporate thing anymore. Um, and at the time, my dad was struggling with his business, and he was like, he was telling me, he was like, we gotta sell, like we gotta sell the business. He's like, he went back to welding. He went back to welding to pay the bills for the banquet hall, for the
Yeah.
event hall. It got to that point. Yeah. And so I'm there sitting at my desk at Bank of America in downtown, and I'm like, oh, like what the fuck am I doing here? Like I know
Yeah.
how to do that. I've been doing it all my life, and um, I just saw it as a really good opportunity. So like, and I already bought my house. I had like 6 months saved up in the bank. I had really good credit. I felt secure, like I felt safe, but not at the same time. Because I was like, these people could let me go at any point. They do that shit all the time. Like, yeah,
No, did
people
you
would get.
stay there enough to where they paid? Were you able to finish your degree during that time, and did they pay that off, or is that a different story?
Yeah, that's a whole different story.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think I did like 1 or 2 semesters before leaving, and then I finished that. No, I did. Yeah, I did 1 year while at Bank of America, and I did the final year after I left.
Gotcha.
But it was such a hassle getting that back from Bank of America. Like, um, I remember dealing. I don't remember what the details were for that, but I tried getting the reimbursements and stuff, and I couldn't get it. I think they covered like one class or something. Um,
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say real quick,
but
for many of
yeah,
you
I
watching,
think we
if you
froze.
I can still
Yeah,
see
okay, we're
you.
there.
Yeah, I can still see you.
Um,
Yeah, real quick, I was gonna say for a lot of people watching, if you're thinking, if you have a degree, I mean, if you're currently working at a place and you're thinking about going into a degree, you can always work out something with your employer to maybe where they can pay it off, right? But sometimes they might have limitations where you have to stay at least for 2 years,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So just check with that, but just wanted to make that point because a lot of times you don't have to pay out of your pocket for school, but they might be willing to pay for it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think Bank of America, and I think it was just like the elective class or
Hmm.
something, one of my electives that they covered. Um, but yeah, I ended up finishing after I left. So yeah, I left. That was a pretty scary jump for me, leaving the bank and knowing that I had, a mortgage now and yeah, and like some bills, but the mortgage was actually being paid too because I paid for my own living expense fully for like 3 months when I moved out on my own. After 3 months, I ended up getting like a three-bedroom apartment with two roommates,
Oh wow.
and we
Yeah,
split the bills. Yeah, so I went from like paying like $600 a month to like 200 or $300 a month.
that's nice.
Yeah, so yeah,
And
and
did you
that's
rent
how
the
I was
house?
able to save up. And I did the same with the house. I got a
Oh,
free.
gotcha.
So my roommates that were there living with me at the apartment, I was like, "Hey, I'm thinking about getting a house. If I got a house, would you guys like be up to like moving over there and paying the exact same amount of rent that you're paying here, but we'd have like privacy and we could like you know we could jam out because we're all musicians and stuff. We could do whatever we want in this house." So
Yeah,
that was like a no-brainer for them. They're like, "Hell yeah, we're gonna do that." Yeah,
nice.
so I ended up renting out the two other rooms, uh, the two other rooms in my house, which paid for the majority of the mortgage. I think I was only paying like $200 too for all my mortgage at that point. Yeah.
That's not bad at
So
all.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, and the same when I sold, I ended up like remodeling that house, updating it, selling it, and moving into using that to buy a multifamily. It was like it was a duplex house and two additional dwellings on the property,
Mhm.
which I rented out the two houses and lived in the main house uh, for like 3 or 4 years before selling that one.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, I guess a bit of a sidetrack, but like, if you were to recommend someone today, right? How would you
Yeah.
recommend approaching buying their first house, especially being that, at least personally, like I would love to buy like a multifamily. That's one of my goals. So I guess for anyone, watching this, what advice would you offer as far as, going for that first rental property or that first home that, they might want to purchase?
Yeah. If it's your very first place, I know like TV makes it look easy with remodeling and stuff, but like doing live-in flips is I wouldn't do that again unless it was just like simple updating. If
Hmm.
it's just updating because you could like be gone over a weekend and a crew would come in and take care of updating your countertops or whatever your kitchen cabinets or the floors, stuff like that, where it's just like cosmetics.
Hmm.
um, but if you're dealing with a house that like you need new windows, you need roof replacement, unless you have everything, uh, like unless you're working with somebody that's or like a contractor or something that's
Yeah.
ready to go on that, yeah, then that's not a bad idea because you could purchase the house, remodel it, and then move into it. Um, like a multifamily if you're going to do that, or purchase the multifamily, remodel it, and rent it out immediately. But if you're planning to like, okay, I'm going to do this stuff myself, which I thought which I did. I remodeled the two additional dwellings, mostly on my own and with the help of family and friends. Um,
Of
yeah.
course, yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
like
that.
I
Yeah.
learned I remember hiring an electrician so it was two houses, so I was like, I'm just gonna hire people to do the first one and I'm gonna do the second one on my own. And I did that, and it worked for the most part. Like I hired an electrician, and I was like, "Can I hire you, uh, and you kind of educate me on the whole process?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, that's cool." He was down for it. So I was like, actually, a lot of the stuff, I was like, "Let me do it. You just tell me what to do." And I learned electrical work like that. Yeah,
I mean,
I hired an electrician to tell me like what I need to do, and my father-in-law was also helping me out. He's not an electrician, but he's like kind of a master of all trades, and my dad also. Um, so
it seems
everybody was
like
kind of giving me a hand.
yeah, it seems like
Yeah,
you've
I was.
been wearing a lot of hats, man. That's
Yeah, man.
so,
I love
some,
learning new stuff, man.
yeah.
Yeah,
You gotta have that mindset though, right? Because sometimes even if it's replacing, I don't know, a sink or something, right? Like especially if you're renting it, that thing piles
yeah.
up. A lot of times it's better to learn how to
It
do it yourself.
does. It does.
Maybe not I wouldn't be comfortable with the electric piece of it. I feel like I would catch
Yeah,
the house
I'm
on fire.
definitely a risk taker, man.
Yeah,
I'm
you gotta.
definitely a risk taker. I rewired my whole house and like slept.
Yeah.
I slept fine, dude. I didn't think about it one time.
So,
Uh,
I guess
my
one
family
more.
and friends reminded me a couple of times of it.
I guess one more question on
Yeah.
the before we get back to kind of the entrepreneurship of it. What kind of loans would you, I guess, advise for a first-time owner? I hear a lot about, FHA loans and for especially buying a multi-family home to rent out the next one. But what would your advice be for, individual or a couple that are looking into it?
Yeah, I think an FHA loan would be the best way to go. I know there are programs out there that can help you not have to come out of pocket so much
Hmm.
with with your down payment, and a ton of lenders out there that would help out. Um, like there's just so many options now, and it's really just kind of yeah, taking the buyer and finding out what best works for them, because everybody kind of has a different case with as far as like employment and stuff and family. Um, but yeah, definitely FHA I think would be
Would be
best.
the way to go.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, cool. So, all right, just going back to kind of being you're running your own business, right? So, what I guess what are some things that you wish you knew earlier? So, let's say if or just as a general advice for someone who's watching and
Hmm.
they're thinking maybe they already have that business idea, but they're either not too afraid, but they don't feel prepared to jump into full-time entrepreneurship or like to your point, it seems like you had at least that that emergency fund, right? You had
Hmm.
good credit, and it seems like you took those steps to kind of feel not necessarily at ease,
Yeah,
but
to
at least to
prepare
give you that
myself.
confidence to
Yeah,
jump in there, right? So, what advice would
yeah.
you give to other people that are on still on the fence about doing it, and maybe they're stuck at their jobs, being miserable?
Yeah. Some things that I wish I knew earlier though. Um, well, creating well, you can work on your business while at the same time um, keeping your job, or like building up a clientele base, or creating all of the systems for your business, because that part takes a lot of time, and that's been the most challenging, is that I'm jumping into it. Well, now I'm 2 years into real estate, but I just jumped into it. Like I took the class, got the license, and went straight into it. But there are a lot of things I could have done to prepare, and that's like learning all of the systems that you need to keep the business like sustaining. Because every business essentially is just a system of yeah, just like a system of tasks, or a system of yeah, things that you have to do. And like the processes of when you bring on a client, what's the process of onboarding them, or letting them go, or the production side of your business, like what does it take, what are all of the processes needed for that, and kind of building all of the structures. All of that stuff can be done on your spare time, and you can you can work on all of that to prepare yourself so that when you begin to open your business or launch your business, all those things are already in place, and you can just, it's like flipping on a light switch at that point. Yeah, you're like ready to go. You got all your branding and marketing material and all of those things before ever leaving your job. And then once you turn on that light switch and start bringing in new clientele, you'll see your income begin to replace your new income from your business begin to replace your income from your salary or your 9 to 5. And but yeah, just learning systems alone, because that's all a business is. It's a system. Like
Yeah.
that's yeah. Any business at its core is a system of processes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you said something very important, right? I think people feel that they need to jump, go from 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think to your point, yeah,
Which
I'm
is
I'm,
me
I'm
most of
trying
the
to
time.
do
Yeah.
some. Yeah, yeah. I think that's a good point, right? On your spare time, right? Like we all have the same amount of hours each day, right?
Right.
So it really boils down to what do you do differently after work, right? Do you spend time coming up with your business plan, right? Do you spend time, going to networking events, trying to find new clients, or whatever it is that your
People to
business
work with, people
exactly.
to shadow.
Hmm.
You could even do like internship or something at a company that is similar to the one you want to open. Uh, yeah, a lot of studying. But
Yeah.
eventually you have to take action. Like you have to do something.
And that's
Yeah.
I guess it's another differentiator, right? Like we can only watch so much YouTube videos and
Right.
podcasts and before we
Right.
need to take action. So I definitely agree that. Um,
Yeah.
now when did you, so at some point you decide to expand, right? To hire employees and et cetera. What was the process from the point where you had this, started maybe getting clients, be more profitable? At what point did you decide, okay, I need more help?
So, um, that's kind of everybody's thought is like, I'm busy, I need more help, I'm gonna hire somebody. And that will quickly, if you don't have if you're not, because hiring somebody means you need to train somebody, which means that's another job that you're adding to your thing,
Exactly.
unless they already know the business. And at that point, if they already know the business that well, or that, that task that well, then they're probably going to be more expensive to acquire. Um, but that's kind of the lesson I learned last year. Was that last year? Yeah, last year is like I hired people, and um, that quickly like bled me dry with finances. Yeah, because and that's only because one thing, which led to the probably the number one piece of advice that anyone that has a business like should take, and that's like prospecting, or like outreach, like finding the new client. Like that is the number one thing that you need to do in order to be able to sell something, or like to have some kind of transaction or exchange. You first have to find that person that needs the thing that you're selling, you know. And I hired people and was working on the people and the systems to keep the people um, uh, working and keep the business going. But at the same time, it was draining my financial resources, and we at this point, because it wasn't just me, but we weren't outreaching, or
Gotcha.
finding the next client. We were like, okay, we need a plan for this, and we need a plan for that, and we like we're just creating a bunch of plans, and that it meanwhile it's like straying me away from my real estate business that is my income, that pays my bills and everything, of and because I enjoy it and I want to go this way, but it's kind of like leaving my 9 to 5 job that I never even had to do
Exactly.
another thing. So last year was very shaky. Everything always works out though. It worked out very well. But I learned that I could now, instead of just hiring people and having people work on a salary, I could have people work per project. And I created, or I restructured everything in a way that um, the people that I was working with didn't have to be, um, I guess, at the office or 9 to 5 or clock in and out. Like they just had to take care of the project and work out instead of a payroll or an hourly rate, it'd be a percentage of the project.
Yeah.
And so that saved me from having to uh, pay a payroll without worrying about where the next deal is going to come from, you know?
Gotcha.
Uh,
No, it
yeah,
makes
so I had to
sense.
get creative to kind of help keep people that I need without, uh, yeah, just kind of like working at the pace of the business. So it's like the business is now, we're now reliant on the business making the money, and not David Gonzalez paying the payroll coming out of pocket, you
For
know?
yeah, for 8 hours, yeah,
Yeah,
there's nothing going on.
right.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's a good question. So let's say if I'm starting my business, right, whether I'm providing a service or if I'm providing a product, how did you go about the pricing? As far as I know, a lot of people, especially if they don't come from a business background, right, they might undersell themselves. So how
hmm
would you advise someone to approach the bill, like how much are you going to charge the clients and whatnot?
hmm So yeah, here's one strategy that I suggest, and something that we're implementing now, because we've been working on this for so long, but we haven't really officially like launched it in the to like the scale that I want or that I've been planning for.
Yeah.
Um, we haven't really launched it, but the strategy that we're kind of doing now is like, so you research your competitors or what other people are charging in your market, right? And they're at this price. What you want to do, since you're beginning, you're not at that level that they are on with their experience and stuff. You want to charge like down here for a certain amount of time, a limited amount of time, and you can express that to your clientele if you want to. Like, hey, I'm giving these phenomenal rates right now because we are in our beta phase. We're at our first phase of the company. So we're giving these yeah, phenomenal rates for this limited amount of time. And that limited amount of time can be your first 3 months, or it can be your first 3 years that you run those prices. And of course, it still have to make sense for you, but that'll get you clients for sure because they're comparing, they're shopping around. And so you price it just below market. It can be like a 20% below market,
Mhm.
or as much as you feel comfortable with, but for a limited amount of time. And you do that and you show success, whether it's in your product, you get all of those clients and you tell them like, hey, I'm giving these phenomenal rates because we're starting out, and also I want your testimonial at the end of it. You know, I want your feedback, your honest feedback at the end of it, because I know you're going to enjoy either the product or the service. Yeah. So you run that. They're happy because you gave them an amazing price and you gave them an amazing product or service. And you get those testimonials, and now you can use those testimonials to as leverage for more value in yourself. Well, one, you feel confident in it because you have all these testimonials now. You can just go to sleep listening to your testimonials and feel good,
Yeah.
so that you can charge more, or you use those testimonials as yeah, just as a reason to charge more. You know, like because we have these results, because people love our product, because people love our service. Um, we can charge this much, and you can even, if you're providing a better service than the people that are at this level, the people that are already in the industry, then you could charge more because people want it, and and you're good at it.
Gotcha. No, that makes
Yeah.
sense. And I guess when you say testimonials, that could be via your website,
That
via
could, yeah,
social
that could
media,
be
video.
yeah, a review on Yelp or a review on Google or whatever, or like commenting or stuff like that on or making a video for Instagram or social media for you to post. Yeah, but
Gotcha.
people want like video testimonials, I think are important nowadays.
Yeah, that's true,
Nowadays,
especially
yeah.
if you're consuming it via this platform or
Mm-hmm.
TikTok or YouTube. No, that's important. Yeah,
Yep.
no, yeah, no. Thanks for that. Now as far
Yeah.
as like if you're getting started, as far as financials and I think just to respect your time, I'll try to be quick here. Um,
Cool.
but as far as like
Mm.
funding, right? Like, would you say that it's if somebody's wanting to start their own business, etc., right? Obviously, you mentioned, hey, try to get clientele while you have your full-time job, right? But if it requires, like, let's say you're opening a coffee shop or something else, right? How do you feel about, getting a loan, or how would you even approach that?
Oh, dang. Yeah, that's a good one. I was thinking about that last year when I was spending so much on payroll. I was like,
Yeah.
man, but I didn't want to. I was like, I don't want to borrow, but I'm 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 back and forth with that, with like borrowing money to I guess to do more or to begin. Um, but how I would go about it, shoot, like I don't know, man. Well, obviously, like you'd have to have your entire presentation and your projections, and I mean, you can't really do projections because you've never done the business, you don't know anything, so you can't really project. But the more prepared with your structure and your analysis of the market and of the business that you're in, I think that you could take it to if you don't know like any investors within like your network. I know that there are platforms online that you could find funding for. Like you could find funding online to fund your business or loans and stuff. Um, but I have honestly never looked into it. I've never looked into it.
Gotcha. Well,
Yeah.
regardless, you got to do your homework, right, before you
Yeah,
even get
yeah, you
started and have some level.
definitely.
Now, when I guess another one that came to mind is, what do you think about partnerships? Like, let's say you can't get a loan, but maybe you find, someone that you could potentially partner up with, right? Is there certain
Yeah.
things that you would be, advise before people partner up?
Um, yeah, I think partnerships are awesome I, I mean, obviously, if you have the right partner, but if your partner provides enough value and you come to terms with a partnership agreement, and there are like partnership agreements online um, where the partnership agreements go very in detail or in depth about what your roles are going to be, what your expectations are um, for the business. And if those are like financial expectations or sweat equity um, or providing resources for the business, I think it can definitely give you. Um, it's like somebody. It's like I guess it's like a tool. It can be used as a tool. Just it makes your job easier,
Gotcha.
or it should. It should given the right circumstance. Partnerships can be like amazing, and with at the same you know, on flip side of the coin, like partnerships can be horrible, if you're not
Yeah.
with the right partner. Yeah, yeah. But definitely all those structures have to be in place with your agreement on what your expectations are, um, and written contractually.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess
yeah.
that's important. All right. Well, yeah, and I guess it kind of boils down to what you mentioned earlier, right? That's why your plan. That's why this stuff, you know, work on it after hours, or
Yeah, yeah.
building your projects. Okay. Well, yeah. Let's. I guess just to respect your time, I'll touch on two more questions, and then we can,
Yeah,
if we
yeah, I'm
have
good,
more
man.
time, we can answer more
It's
questions
summertime for the
if
it's
people have it.
summertime
Yeah.
for the kids.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
um, just to close off, what's your money motto or your money mantra?
You want to write it down?
There you can. I'm taking
Yeah,
notes,
so
man.
my money
I got
mantra,
notes right here.
I've been repeating for several years already. It's large sums of money. Well, it's more like an affirmation. Um, Large sums of money come to me easily and quickly, and increase in quantities from multiple sources on a continuous basis in the best interest of all that I get to keep, use, give, and spend joyously.
Wow, that's a
It's a long
mouthful,
one.
man.
It's a long one, but it covers all bases. So I'm never saying the
Exactly.
wrong thing.
Hey,
I'm always saying the right thing, yeah.
I like that. I think I'm gonna cut that piece of the video and make it into a reel because that's amazing. Yeah, yeah, awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So so now I mean it's now I'll flip it to you. Where can we follow you? It's, promote yourself, your business, or if you got any
Yeah.
handles, any what is it that that
So
you
if you're looking to get your real estate license, work in residential and commercial real estate, you can check us out at Houston Center Realty on Instagram at Houston Center Realty or HoustonCenterRealty.com. And we'd love to have you by the office. You can check out what our office is like and what the environment is like for the other real estate agents. For media production, if you're looking to do videos, video advertisement, even photography, portraits, product photography, testimonial videos. It's at EastFlow HTX, at EastFlow HTX or eastflowhtx.com.
Alrighty, awesome.
Yeah.
And I'll include
And then,
those. Go ahead.
yeah, and then myself, SupaDave90, SupaDave 90 on Instagram. Yeah. Well, they'll see it here.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'll make sure to include that in the description
Cool.
here. Yeah, but thanks for your time, man. Thanks for sharing a bit of a background, a bit of that vulnerability, and just kind of walking us through how you got started here. And I hope it's super inspiring. I mean, it definitely is for me. And
Yeah, you're
I know there's.
inspiring, man. You're inspiring. I'm
Thank
glad
you.
to do it with you, dude.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, no,
It's
I
really cool.
appreciate it. And
Yeah.
yeah, if you guys have any other questions, I mean, yeah, follow David. And if you need, any star shots or if you got any
Star
events,
shots,
right?
baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have a special events or whatever, yeah, hit them up at Eastflow Productions. They do a great job. And again, yeah, thanks again, David. And
Hey,
yeah,
thank
well,
you, man. Thank
yeah,
you. Yeah.
enjoy the rest of the Memorial Day. And thanks to everyone that tuned in.
Cool.
I'll have this later and I'll upload a longer version for everyone. So, all right, well, yeah,
Awesome. Good
yeah,
night, man.
yeah, take care.
Bye.
Take care.